Are you going to buy your first camera? Should you get a DSLR or a mirrorless? What's the difference between them? Is one better than the other? Let's find out. First, let's see what's the actual physical difference in DSLRs and mirrorless cameras. So in all DSLR cameras, there's a lens that sends the light inside the camera which falls on a mirror, which reflects it upon a prism which lets you see it with your eye through a viewfinder. And when you want to click a picture, that mirror gets out of the way and light falls on the sensor and you have your photo. In case of a mirrorless camera, as the name says, there is no mirror. Light falls on the sensor directly and that information you generally see on the camera's display or in an electronic viewfinder, like in the case of Sony a6300. And because there is no mirror and no prism, the mirrorless cameras are generally smaller and more compact in size. So if you want a smaller camera, you should go with a mirrorless camera. Now those are the actual physical differences. Now let's see if those differences actually affect a camera's performance. In terms of photo quality, it doesn't really matter if you have a DSLR or a mirrorless. The photo that you take depends on the sensor your camera has and the type of lens you use. But in case of mirrorless cameras, because there is no actual physical mirror that has to move for your camera to take pictures, mirrorless cameras are generally faster than DSLRs to take pictures. Also, mirrorless cameras are better at autofocus while recording videos because mirrorless cameras don't use a separate module to autofocus, they just use their sensor, which results in a faster and more accurate autofocus. But all of this depends on the type of camera you buy. These things differ significantly from camera to camera, so this does not necessarily mean that every mirrorless camera will be better than every DSLR. So you will have to compare each individual camera because every camera is made different. Now the battery life. Nobody likes when their camera runs out of battery and you have to take it out of the camera and put it into a charger. Now battery life in case of a mirrorless camera is not as good as it is on a DSLR, because in mirrorless cameras you have to keep an LCD display constantly on so that you can see what you're taking a photo of. Now that LCD display can be the actual live view display or it can be an electronic viewfinder, but it will always be an LCD display. So that takes a lot of battery to run. Now in DSLRs you have a viewfinder which shows exactly what your camera lens is seeing without any use of an LCD, which means better battery life. Now let's talk about noise. You must be pretty familiar with this camera noise. Now this is a noise that a typical DSLR makes while flipping up the mirror. Now because mirrorless cameras don't have that mirror, they are silent and are more discreet in taking pictures. Now if you want your camera to be totally silent while taking pictures, go with the mirrorless cameras. And if you don't mind your camera making noise, go with a DSLR. Now the last difference. Mirrorless cameras have an electronic viewfinder which shows exactly how your photo will look after processing, which means after you have adjusted the ISO and the aperture and everything else. They can show you how exactly your photo will look. Now in DSLRs you don't have an electronic viewfinder, which means you are essentially seeing what light goes into your lens. So there is a lot of guessing involved while you take a photo after adjusting the ISO and aperture and everything else. You'll have to essentially guess what your photo will look like after you've adjusted those things. Now mirrorless cameras sound amazing, but it's not the case with every mirrorless camera. Good mirrorless cameras are generally more expensive and the cheaper ones are not as good as their counter DSLRs, like in the case of Canon 200D and Sony a6000. I've already made a video comparing these two, so if you want to check that out, the link to that video is in the I button and in the description. And this is it for this video. If you want to know more about cameras, subscribe to my channel. I make videos every Monday and Friday, so I will see you in the next one.
I'm on my own, broken alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving.